welcome to Greet the Week. This is Mona, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jan Moray. And today we're going to be talking about, Jan has suggested that we talk about Christmas holidays and preparing for it, reducing the stress. So what's on your mind, Jan?
Well, we just finished the Thanksgiving holidays, and it kind of brought to mind all the stress we put on ourselves during the holiday season. There's so many should do and must do, and people are going to expect this, and I might disappoint them if I don't do this. And so there's all these things that you feel like you have to do, but sometimes we don't have enough time to get it all done, or we're not really sure exactly what people are going to like, and we start asking them what they want, and they don't tell us, and so we have to try to guess, and so that causes a lot of stress. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about how to take that burden off of ourselves, and how to deal with those feelings that they're going to be disappointed, and I feel bad or I feel guilty if I don't do this. So I thought we'd just kind of start the discussion that way. And
okay, well, do you have any suggestions?
Well, for example, with the holidays, I've never been a big decorator and wanting to make the house look all pretty and stuff. I mean, I like to see it, but I don't like to do it. And so fortunately my husband loves Christmas trees and doing that, so I help him, but I don't do it. But before he and I got married, my kids were teenagers, I would try to get them to help me put the tree up, and they wanted no part of it. So I'm like, okay, if you guys don't want to help me with the tree, I put it up for you, and if you don't want it, then we're just not going to put a tree up. And I did that one year, and I had a little bitty Christmas tree, and I put that up, because that all you have to do is take the bag off of it, and there it is. It's all ready to go. And so then after that, they helped me. But it's to try to let people know that I'm trying to do stuff for you that's going to make Christmas more pleasant. But maybe that's not really what's important about it. Maybe that there are other things that it's better, your time is better spent focusing on to try to do, and for the holidays. So that's kind of an example.
And the fact that it always starts with us. And with anything, if we are thinking, well, they'll like this, and maybe trying to read their mind, that we could just ask, am I reading your mind correctly?
We can ask. And this past week was Thanksgiving, and my sister and her children came. None of our children were able to make it for various reasons, and so I told them, I said, my husband and I, we eat vegan, but I'm more than willing to cook whatever you want. I'll make a turkey. I'll do whatever side you want. You just tell me. And so I got a few suggestions, and I made it. But then here we were eating dinner, and then my nephew looked at me and he said, well, where's the Greek food? Because normally I have some kind of Greek dish. And I said, well, nobody requested it, so I didn't cook it. So he kind of looked at me, and I'm going, well, next year if you want it, you tell me. And so you set the standard that, okay, if you want something, you ask for it. Don't just assume that it's going to appear just because it did last year. But that helps to spread the burden a little bit, and so you're not having to spend all the time trying to figure out what everybody's going to want.
And even if someone does say something like, where's the Greek food?
Yeah.
You just simply respond without taking it personally.
Right.
And all too often, that's where the stress and the frustration begins. If someone makes a comment about something that you didn't do, you automatically go back to that. Well, I should have known that. I should have done that. Right. And you just begin to burden yourself down by taking it all so personally. So just get to the point that you just let it roll off. Greek food, messed up this year. Didn't do it,
I would have said
maybe the next year.
I would have said, you want Greek food? Go to Athens.
Go to
touche. And and you can do that, but say it with a jolly spirit and with a smile, always with a smile. Yeah. Because we want to bring family closer, not, drive a wedge that's going to drive them further apart. So we want our responses to always be connecting rather than disconnecting.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, he said it very lightheartedly, and he was just making a comment, really, and I didn't take it personally at all, because I had thought about because normally what I make are artichokes, and I didn't make artichokes this
right.
And
right.
so, but we didn't have a big crowd, and so I didn't want to make a whole bunch of things. So,
right. Well, knowing you, I can believe that it was handled very well. But I'm passing this on to others to realize the fact that if we just, all the person is giving you is information. Information. I was expecting Greek food. I didn't hear. Where is it?
Yeah.
And so just take it as information rather than taking it so personally that, oh, I'm a big foul up or anything like that. Right. And then respond to it in a pleasant manner, in one that is not off-putting to the other person either. One that's just, well, that's on the list for next year.
Right, right. And then we talked about perfectionism a few weeks ago, and it goes to that also, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. There's probably going to be some things you missed, some things you didn't do, and but that's okay. If it's important, then maybe we'll think about it for next time. So that's something to learn. And then also, with this time of year, there's a lot of consumerism, and people trying to create new traditions. I mean, we have hard enough time keeping up with the old traditions that we have, but then there's these new traditions that come up. And the thing that comes to mind, and I think it's still a thing, I don't have young kids or grandkids, so I don't know, but that whole elf on the shelf thing, where you've got the little elf that goes on, you move it to different places, and it's supposed to do I don't know exactly what it is, but there's some parents that just pull their hair. I got to move that stupid elf every day and make something up out of it. And you're going, well, who came up with this thing? Who's benefiting from this? You're driving all these women crazy trying to please their kids. But it's okay to tell them, hey, sweetie, we're not doing that in this house. It's just too much for mommy. And don't feel guilty about saying that, because a lot of people do feel guilty. Well, their friends' parents do that, and so I need to do it too, because how are they going to feel if they don't have it? And
it's back to recognizing what guilt is. Yeah. True guilt is when I have offended someone else, when I've really done something wrong and I know it, and my conscience, my internal is bugging me. That false guilt is when I haven't measured up to everybody else's expectations.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just dump that guilt on ourselves, and it's not deserved, it's not qualified, and just let it go. Let it go. And be your own person. I'm not even familiar with the elf on the shelf, but it sounds
well, you're lucky. Well, I haven't been guilted into doing it. Not that I would, but I can. I remember these women complaining about it. Having to do this every single day for I don't know how many days it is. That's how out of it I am myself. But but then also I think with the children, it's okay to let people know that we're not going to do everything your friends do, and
and be okay with it.
Right. And just because they have this and their parents do this, that's not the way we do things in my house. Yeah, or
and rejoice with them for doing it and having it, that realizing that, we're too unique and special.
Right. And give them the lesson of, what Christmas really is all about. And it's not all about you getting things and parents doing things for the kids. Is okay. So what are you giving? What are you
right?
What are you trying to do to
back to Thanksgiving is one of my absolute favorite holidays, because it is just about being thankful and eating and gouging and all that kind of stuff. It's not the big consumerism thing unless we make it that.
Right.
And the same thing is Christmas, and about Christmas and the holidays, whether it's the Jewish tradition, or whether it is the Christian tradition, or the Kwanzaa tradition. They're all based on the same. It's a spiritual thing, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we can make it to be so stressful.
Right. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it should be, and spirit is light, and it's lively, and it's a blessing. And if we can just go with the spirit of it, the attitude of it, rather than the consumerism. I know the thing that several years ago, I mean, so many years ago that it seems like forever, that we decided as a family with all my brothers and sisters and everything, and nieces and nephews and all that, to not give gifts at all, just to get together and celebrate each other like we did at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we've continued to do that. And on, even with the in-laws, when I married in, this is the way I've always celebrated the holidays of Christmas, and let's just do it that way. And they agreed with that. And we never introduced Santa. If you want to give a gift, but it'd be from you.
Right. Right.
And and decorate. Yes, yes, yes. I'm one of those that more is more. And so
Yeah.
give me more lights. I want more lights here.
Yeah, I'm one of these strange ones that I prefer taking it down than putting it up. And so I let my husband go do whatever he wants. Like, we've got the tree up already, and he has the lights up, and that's as far as we've gotten.
Right, right.
And but when it's all over, I'm ready. I'm ready for it to be done and out of here. So I'm more than happy to clean it all up. If you want to put it together, you go. But that's the kind of thing to try to understand. What part can you play in it, and don't do it just because you feel like you have to do it. It's that you're doing what's good for you. And with the presents things, I only have one sibling, and my sister and I, we don't exchange gifts, and we don't exchange gifts with our family. But my husband's side of the family, everybody gives gifts to everybody. So it's like, okay, so help me a little bit. Can you kind of give me an idea of what you want? And at first I didn't really like that idea of telling somebody that what it is you want for Christmas, but that does make it easier and less stressful if you have a list of things to choose from, if you are going to exchange gifts, instead of having to go out and buy something that that they're probably just going to toss, or they're not going to like, or anything like that. But the point is to make it so that it's still enjoyable. People can still get together and do things and have a good time without one person doing all the work, or one person stressing out, unless they want to. But then helping each other out, and learning to ask for help.
Yeah. And I mean, not that anyone wants to stress out.
Right.
So you may want to do things that leads to stressing out. My personal definition of stress is anytime we become stressed, anytime we live outside of our boundaries, anytime we stretch, for example, it is stressful whenever you spend more than you have to spend.
Right.
It is stressful when you do more than you have the talent, the ability, the strength to do. Whenever you commit to more things than you have time for. And we bring that stress on ourselves. And then we, become irritated, not only with ourselves, but we give it off to others as well.
You do.
And so it is realizing, it's setting a boundary and being true to yourself enough to live within those boundaries. Whether it is food that we eat, food that we prepare, decorating that we do, gift giving that we give, whatever it is, do it within the limitations that you have, or within the capacity that you have, without stretching it,
right,
without making it stressful. And that all comes back to us. It's all within our power. And whenever we go without those things, then we become disempowered. And we lose energy, and we lose connection, and we lose enjoying whatever it is we're trying to decorate and enjoy.
And if somebody wants to give you a gift, but you don't want to give gifts in return, it doesn't mean that you have to give them anything in return. I mean, you can be very gracious on receiving whatever it is they want to give you, and for sure tell them thank you. But you don't need to feel the obligation that I have to go out and buy this person something now that they bought me something.
Exactly.
that just adds more stress to it. And then, if they continue to want to give you a gift, that's fine. That's their choice to continue to do that. But if you still don't want to mess with going out and trying to find something to give these people, you don't have to. There's nobody telling you that you have to do it. It's yourself.
Exactly.
Playing that guilt tape.
Yeah, because receiving that gift is a gift.
Yes,
it is. And too many times gifts are received, and there may be a thank you attached to them, but they're not really received. And that can be just as disconnecting. Now, my sister is a extremely generous person, and not only does she give gifts to people, she remembers everyone's birthday and her. I mean, but that's her, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But living in her shadow as the sister that doesn't remember all the nieces and nephews and gives and doesn't send birthday cards and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? That is not. Sometimes we think, oh, wow, all the nieces and nephews will really love her because she gives them their birthday card and gift and everything else. But you know what? I will not let myself go there.
Yeah.
And we can choose whether we let ourselves go there, but, I'm not living up to someone else's gifts, and by that I mean talents or natural inclinations. And we can make us think that, we're on the bottom of the list of being liked or whatever. And that just isn't true. I know I have neighbors from the past that one's deceased and one's moved away, but neighbors from the past, and I love both of them very, very much. And they both were generous, and they both, we did things together. One lady and I, we'd go garage sailing together. And the other lady and I, we did a couple of clubs together. Anyway, they were as different could be.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say here that each of our gifts, each of our personalities is unique and different.
Yes, they are.
And it's okay to be that.
It is.
And I liked one neighbor. She was my favorite in this direction. And the other neighbor was my favorite in another direction. Mm-hmm. But you know what? There was no comparison between them.
Right.
I'm hoping I'm making some sense out of this.
Yeah, you weren't trying to say that you loved one more than the other. They're different. You appreciated them in different ways.
In different ways. And it's the same thing with your kids, just with everything.
Yeah.
That each one is unique.
Yeah.
Unique and special. And so there we respond to them while being fair to everyone, as fair as we can be. But yet you respond to that one individual in keeping with his or her uniqueness.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of that too is learning to accept yourself. I mean, if you're not the person who gives the gifts and sends the birthday cards and all that kind of thing, that's okay. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. And for you to be able to accept yourself, well, that's just not me. And to understand that I do have other talents and other things that I do that they can appreciate as well.
Exactly, and I'm still lovable.
I'm still lovable.
And so I love me and I love you and you could love me. And, if you're upset about not getting a card, at least tell me, and then I love you enough that I'll send you one or give you a gift. Yeah. So, yes, that self-acceptance. And if you're doing something, why are you doing it? Always question that motive of why we're doing anything, which kind of goes back to what we talked about a little bit last week, of overcoming the stress is to challenge our actions and to qualify our feelings and to monitor our thoughts. What are we thinking about?
Yeah.
Do you think that our society has distorted Christmas in several ways? The obvious way being Santa Claus. There was no Santa Claus at Jesus's birth, or Christmas trees. Or all the, as you say, the consumerism of the presence. I go to yard sales and garage sales, and half the stuff there is a present from somebody that wasn't wanted.
Right.
Something brand new, and
Right.
it's sitting there, and you can buy it for 10% of what it originally cost. And we are inundated by a whole bunch of things that distorts the original meaning of Christmas, which was originally the birth of Jesus. But what the heck? Now you got Santa Claus and Rudolph and flying sleighs and, oh shoot, I'm getting a phone call. But anyway, Christmas is no longer what it used to be.
I think the world as a whole, because we are so worldwide,
Hello.
and we are so unique and so different, and we have so many, that everything becomes distorted. Or at least we see it maybe as being distorted if it doesn't fit in with our perception of what it should be.
Right.
And rather than being willing to, it's just like, to me, it all goes together, because in the one is the whole, and the whole contains all of the ones. And that just like if we cannot graciously receive a compliment, neither can we graciously receive a gift, no matter what the gift is, whether it's a $1 gift or a $5,000 gift. Because the way we do one thing is how we do everything. And it all goes back to what is within us as to what we give and or what we receive.
Yeah.
And how will we see it and respond to it.
Yeah. Well, if you really think about gift giving and watch people, because I have a cousin who always has a gift for everybody, and she brings all these real elaborate things. And for a while I felt bad because I never gave her something in return. But then I realized that for her, she loved the giving, and she loved the attention that she got by giving everybody.
Right, exactly.
And then I realized the things that she gave me, I really didn't want. And I really would prefer that she not give them to me in the first place, because then I had this thing that I had to figure out, what am I going to do with it? And so if you think about all the gifts that you received over the years, and all the money that went into that, and think, what else could we have done together that would have brought our relationship stronger together, besides just having this exchange of gifts. It's just being able to enjoy each other and spending time together. And my family on my mom's side, we always get together at Christmas, and everybody's pitching in, and everybody's doing a little bit and is sharing with it. And just having that time together is worth so much more to me than any gift that anybody could give. I mean, the gift is showing up for the event and participating. And if we can look at things that way more so than the materialistic part, I think we'd be a whole lot better off.
The gift of ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing of it is a true gift. If it's really a gift, whatever the receiver does with it is, if we're truly giving to someone as a gift, then how they handle that gift is, whether they gush all over it, or just to an extreme, whether they gush all over it, or whether they take it and throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
And if they gush all over it and we feel really good, then maybe we were just giving it out of our own pride. And if they take it and say, "Ugh, I don't like this thing, it doesn't fit, you never get me anything," and they just throw it in the trash, and we get offended by that, then it wasn't a true gift.
Yeah.
And it's really, it goes back to our motives and our giving and our receiving with everything.
Yeah.
And what is our purpose behind that?
A few years ago, when my son came over for Christmas, he had brought a gift from his girlfriend, and just, it was still wrapped, and he gave it to me, and I said, "Oh, well, tell her thank you. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much." And she goes, "But Mom, you haven't even opened it yet." And I said, "Well, I really don't care what's inside. I just appreciate so much that she took the effort to get something for me." To me, that was the important thing. It really didn't matter what was in the box. the fact that there was that she took the time and effort to give me something, I just appreciated that.
Right.
What was it?
It was a sweater.
An ugly sweater or a pretty sweater?
Actually, I wore it last week, if you remember last week what it was.
Oh, I do. It was nice. It was nice. Yeah, but it's the thought that is the greatest thing.
Yeah.
What is more special from, the dandelions that our kids bring us or the big dollar things they give us today? It's the thought, it's the giver, it's the thought behind it, or at least as we receive it with that anticipation, with that thoughtfulness that you were kind enough to think of me that way.
Yeah. So I think, during this time of year is to try to think of what is really important, during the holidays. What do you really want to be remembered for? Is it all the wonderful gifts and the pretty bows on the fancy fancy package that you're giving, or all the decorations, or the food that you make, the big spread that you put out, or just making the time with everybody together as being the most important thing? And I know I said that in a way that it's being together is the most important thing, but that doesn't. But for you, it might not be. It might be to the decorating and spending the time to have a pretty house, a pretty decorated house. But whatever it is for you, is go ahead and spend the time doing that, but don't fret on the other stuff that seems so burdensome. And you can warn the family, we're going to do things a little differently this year, because at first they're going to say, what? No Greek food? How can you? We always have Greek food at Thanksgiving. It's just part of our tradition. So,
and then on Good Morning America, they had this guy was talking about how to interact with your family during the Thanksgiving holiday, which is applicable during the Christmas holiday as well. Mm-hmm. And he likened it to sports teams and how that, you're on your team and you're out there and you're playing, and the other team that you're playing against is your enemy. Mm-hmm. And you're fighting against them. You're wanting to get the ball, you're wanting to make the points, you're wanting to do all this, and they're the enemy. But you play the game fairly, and there's referees there, to make sure that it's done fairly and in keeping with the rules of the game, whether the ball is taken away or whatever. But then after the final results, everyone lines up and they greet each other and they shake hands and they say good game. Mm-hmm. And it's called about sportsmanship. And so the thing of it is, are there those with all of our gatherings and so forth that will be irritating to us? Are there those that we will be irritating to? That will be irritated by us?
Does it?
Oh, no, surely not. But the bottom line is we've got to keep the relationships together. We've got to exercise sportsmanship. We may not agree. We may think that they are as wrong could be. They may think we're as wrong could be. But you know what? They are a part of us. We are a part of them. And we need to shake hands and leave as friends and leave with sportsmanship.
Right. Because family is very important. Even the people that we don't get along real well with, they're still part of our family, and it's and they're going to be there. So we just make the best of it, and who knows? And something might happen sometime down the road, and we decide, and that person is the one that comes to our aid and helps us out the most. This brings to mind that my father. My sister doted on him all the time, and she always did what he wanted and tried to please him and things like that. Whereas I did what I wanted, and I wasn't going to do something just because he wanted me to do it. And that in his last few years, I was the one who ended up taking care of him and Mom. And he turned to me one day and he said, "I never thought you would be the one to take care of us." And so it's like you never know which family member is going to come to your side and be there to help you in time of need. So, cherish all of those relationships, and maybe even those ones that aren't going as well. That's teaching you something, and you're learning something from it. But it doesn't mean that they're a bad person or you're a bad person. It just means that you're different. You have a difference of opinion. So,
right.
So anyway, on that note, we're out of time. So thanks everyone for watching and listening, and guess we'll get prepared for a great holiday season.
And many, many blessings.
All right. Thanks everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.